From St. Kitts, we moved to Montserrat, an island that has had its fair share of natural disasters. It's been traumatic for Montserratians, but they are coming out of this experience with serious lessons for all of us on how to minimize the causes and impacts of disasters. This is one of the principles contained in the St. George's Declaration. Principle 9 focuses on the prevention and management of causes and impacts of disasters.
It's hard to believe that Plymouth was once the thriving capital of a lush, green, exotic island known as the Emerald Isle of the Caribbean. Today, the historic capital of Montserrat is deserted. Buildings influenced by the Georgian era and of great historic value now lie in ruins. People evacuated Plymouth in a hurry, leaving everything behind and headed north. In 1995, life changed forever. The once dormant Soufriere Hills volcano rumbled to life and began a series of eruptions that covered the southern half of the island in ash. The airport on the other side of town was devastated. 2/3 of the population of Montserrat living in the south fled to the north. A handful ignored the warnings and paid with their lives. From the ashes have sprung lessons for the wider world, but specifically for the OECS region. The St. George's Declaration of Principles for Environmental Sustainability in the OECS prescribes that risk and disaster management must be discussed in the context of sustainable development.
When the farmer is involved in practices on the hill slopes, that can cause landslides and so forth. When we build, for example, our hotel plans on the coastlines, it will give rise to coastal erosion, and consequently there are implications in terms of disasters to our coastlines.
The Soufriere Hills volcano in Montserrat impacted on the island's economy, life of its people, and destroyed property. In the case of Montserrat, its economy was severely disrupted. Tourism, manufacturing, the distributive trades, agriculture, fishing, every sector was severely impacted.
In the context of fisheries, there was a tremendous loss of fish stock with implications for the livelihoods of the fisher folks. The forest was severely damaged because of the huge amount of, you had tons and tons of ashes inundating the entire area. You had defoliation taking place and all kinds of environmental issues in terms of watersheds and forest cover.
Today, Montserrat is on the rebound. Residents have settled in the north, and now new industries are developing. The material spewed out by the volcano is being exported as aggregate for construction projects. But for the rest of the OECS, there are major lessons to be learned. One being that national development, environmental and disaster preparedness issues cannot be discussed in isolation. Sustainable development plans must involve risk reduction as an integral component of the planning process.
So you have all sectors, the tourism sector, the commercial sector, the fisheries sector, the agricultural sector on board in terms of how can we ensure that as planners, as people who work in the public sector, as fishermen, as farmers, that they can incorporate the best practices and the lessons learned in the context of mitigating some of these impacts as a result, whether they are hydrometeorological in terms of, for example, Hurricane Hugo, or whether they are geological in the context of the volcanic eruption since 1995, which has really severely hampered the progress made by Montserratians.
People who live in the OECS now need to know what might contribute to the likelihood or severity of a natural hazard and what could be done to reduce impact. The St. George's Declaration provides some guidance.